Welcome to the new edition of the Can We Talk Sport podcast. I'm joined myself, Cameron, with Finley and Joe. Basically, this podcast is going to be to do with sport. Obviously, I know in the original Can We Talk podcast we do talk a lot about sport, especially football. So we've decided to make this podcast to be just about the sport. Obviously, the three of us are sports journalism students. We'll have obviously Joe in the studio, who is a Sunderland supporter. And we'll have Finley, who is an Aston Villa supporter, who is currently wearing the Aston Villa top. Which,
boy.
It's not the best Castor top ever. And you've got myself, who's a Newcastle supporter. So, lads, obviously, we're making this podcast now, but it's coming towards the end of the season. We'll say it. Joe, for your respective club, how do you think the season's going to end for you? And obviously, how do you think your road towards the end of the season's going to finish?
I think, first of all, it's important to say it's been a really good season for Sunderland. Obviously, we only finished 5th in League One last season, and obviously went up via the playoffs. So to be with 2 games to go of the regular league, to be sitting 6th, it's been a very successful season, especially after all the upheaval. We lost our manager very early on in the season. Alex Neil decided to go to Stoke. We've played pretty much the whole season without any strikers, and particularly our best player, our star player, Ross Stewart, has been injured pretty much the whole campaign. So to be where we are, I think it's testament to Tony Mowbray and all the young players that we've got. They've done absolutely excellently. As we record this tonight, Sheffield United play West Brom.
Ooh.
And if they win, even if they draw Sheffield United, it will put Sunderland's chances into their own hands with 2 games to go of finishing inside the top 6. So it's a nerve-wracking time. As a Sunderland supporter, we've got Watford and Preston, and Watford aren't on a very good run, which makes us even more nervous that they're going to come up here and turn us over on the weekend. But fingers crossed that we're going to finish inside the playoffs, and then once you're in the playoffs, who knows what could happen. All of a sudden, it's a lottery. You might end up in the Premier League. But whatever happens, it's been a very good season for Sunderland.
Hopefully the game against Watford isn't your last home game of the
Hopefully
season.
not. Hopefully we've got another one to go, and then maybe even a trip to Wembley.
Ooh. Finley, same question to you, mate. Obviously, Villa sitting 5th in the Prem at the minute, and they play. Who do they play next? Man United.
We've got Man United, yeah.
Man United next. What do you think for the rest of the season, mate?
Well, I mean, again, as Joe said, I think it's good to look back from the start of the season under Steven Gerrard. Off the back of last season, we went on a bit of a good run with him. Obviously, coming into this season, I wanted Gerrard to succeed, but I think we all saw where that went, and he got sacked after the Fulham game when we played them at Craven Cottage. But ever since, I mean, Unai Emery's come in after leaving Villarreal and taking us from 16th to where we are now. I mean, just like Toby Mowbray, I think Unai Emery deserves every bit of applause he gets when the season finishes. What do I think for the rest of the season, for the end? I think we'll get Europe. What Europe? I mean, it's obviously only Europa League or Conference.
I thought you meant on the continent, because there's only one Europe.
No. I think, yeah,
You never know. You could push towards Champions League.
Nah. I think Cameron's respective team is taking that last spot already. I think you've solidified that 4th. But for Villa, I think we've got a tough run in. I know we've got Man United next, Wolves after at Molineux, which is it's a tough place to go, especially historically for Villa. And then we've got like the likes of Liverpool, Brighton and Spurs that are all around us. We're all fighting for that European space. I'd like to think we finish above Spurs, but with our tough running, it's going to be tough. But yeah, I think Europe's on the cards for definite. It'd be nice to see European football back at Villa Park for sure.
And Cam, I'm imagining you die at the top about Newcastle.
No, not at all, mate.
Blur out your thoughts.
I was actually going to just sit quiet for the whole time. No.
Brag about Champions League.
I think I mentioned to you on the other podcast that this, when we first done it, I was like, oh, and at the beginning of the season, I would have said, right, you got a 2-year plan, you want to try and accomplish everything that you can, right? I'd be happy this season in the top 10, right? Now now, like I say, with the season gone, I think, yeah, Europe, and then now we're sitting third with 7 games to go, and I'm like, okay, definitely Europe.
Yeah.
What Europe? Obviously, at the minute, if the league was to finish tonight or today, would be in the Champions League. It's too early for the Champions League, I think. And I think what are you laughing for?
I just think the money that you're gonna get from being in the Champions League and the players you can attract, you can go to strength for strength.
I think you've got to have a very bad end of the season to lose out on that 4th spot, I think.
Well, we've got 7 games left, and Man United's got 8 left. So that's obviously Villa have played 2 more games than us.
Yeah.
So you have 5 left this season.
5 left, yeah.
I think as long as nothing crazy happens, the chances are Man United will probably finish 3rd, and Newcastle will probably finish 4th.
Which, to be honest, I'm happy because in the Champions League, obviously, you got the big names like Real Madrid, Barcelona. Well, Barcelona weren't in it last year, were they?
No,
they
they
were
will.
Europa League.
They will be this year.
They will
Yeah.
be.
Oh, they were actually in it this year, but they got knocked out of the groups.
That's true.
So they went to the
that's
Europa.
true. So obviously you've got Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern. You know, you got all these teams, and it's like you look at the teams that they've got, and you look at the team that we've got. Obviously, we've got a strong team for this season. Like, we've played really well, but like you say, we do need a bit more in depth. I mean, I think for the rest of the season, I think obviously, like I said, we've got 7 games. We've got Arsenal in there. I think we've got Everton tomorrow. Well, when this goes out, it'll be tonight. So it's, you know, it's trying to like get to grips with what is gonna happen, and sort of just preparing for it, because you've got to be prepared. Having the players that we've got at the minute, you need more coming in. And with the transfer rumours that we've got at the minute, there's a few spots that need more players in.
If you were Eddie Howe, who are you signing for Newcastle? Obviously, being realistic.
Being realistic, I would say
Who are
you
you?
know our
who are your top
midfielder, so I
targets?
would probably bring in Declan Rice or James Maddison, but I know James Maddison's been on the cards for a while, so that's more likely going to happen.
Yeah.
I
I mean, that would be an incredible signing.
it would be
in my
brilliant.
opinion.
It'd be brilliant. I think possibly another winger, because I know we've got Gordon, Maxey, Almiron, Murphy, but I think we could probably do with another, and possibly another striker. Because I think, yes, we've got Isaac and we've got Callum Wilson, but I don't think Callum Wilson isn't at that standard for Champions League football, I don't think. Isaac, yes, but we need someone to go in and back him up. And we need a decent left back, because at the minute, I mean, don't get us wrong, Dan Burns done well at left back, you know, apart from getting spun inside out in that Carabao Cup final.
I just see the visions of Messi against Dan Burn, and just Dan Burn's legs being
Yeah, that might not
rattled.
be pretty.
Dan
do you-
Burn have like knots
Do you
in his
remember
legs.
Do you remember Messi versus Boateng?
Boateng, yeah.
I
Oh.
just see that.
Made him look like a sniper. It took him out.
He had his life, didn't he?
In fairness, there's no shame of getting done by Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true, but
So I think there's a few positions that we need to work on, like strengthen more. I think definitely another midfielder and the left back would go massively. But I'm just excited to see what it brings.
yeah.
No, sitting in the stadium watching. I know I might be regretting saying this, but watching Benzema bang them in against Nick Pope, you know.
I think what's most important for you now for the running to the end of the season is just to stay focused as a squad
Yeah.
and to stay composed. I think I mean we've seen it a couple times now, the camera in Newcastle's what's it, changing room,
They never
yeah.
take it out every game. There's
Yeah,
a photo
yeah.
in the changing rooms,
Well,
and
yeah.
but
big win Eddie Howe's doing his
it's
speech.
a really good atmosphere that's amongst your squad, and you just don't want to
He's got a good.
ruin that.
He's got a well-built dressing room. Let's say that.
Yeah.
He's got the right people in who he needs. Obviously, him and Jason Tyndall have done brilliant this season. The background staff as well. Everyone behind the scenes really. And do you know, it's about keeping a tight knit community, like a tight knit team, because obviously we've seen in the past, like, I don't have to mention the amount of times Newcastle have been in the news for bust-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, most famously Kieran Dyer and Lee Boyer, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's
Middle of the pitch.
exactly. But obviously, you hear of bust-ups on the training ground, the change room. You've heard none of that.
No.
It sounds like he's running like a really tight ship, and he
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. And I think with the back end of the Saudis and that, he'll bring more people into the club and it'll attract more. And this is what we've needed all along, pushing for. Obviously, we went to the Carabao Cup final this year, with 2 years ahead of schedule and challenging for trophies and Champions League spots. It's going to attract more players coming in. You're going to get more traction.
I think Eddie Howe has been the perfect appointment. From the outside looking in, I mean, where you were as a team, obviously when he first come in, you didn't have the top players. Obviously there was one or two good players he's had. And I think to have Eddie Howe come in, I think as somebody who is a young manager, wants to help develop a side, I think the interesting thing will be is, as you inevitably grow as a team and get better, is he the man who's going to win you trophies and push you forward in the Champions League? That remains to be seen. There's no definite answer to that because we just haven't seen Eddie Howe at that level. But I think credit to him. When he first came into Newcastle, I thought that was a poor appointment, I'll be perfectly honest. But no, he's done a great job.
I mean, I was going to say, even if Arsenal win the league, I think Eddie Howe has to be manager of the season for me. I mean, Arteta has done an incredible job, and I'd even push Emery towards manager of the season, but I think Eddie Howe and the job he's done, I mean, even just looking at an individual like Joe Linton, how he's transformed from the 40 million pound flop that everyone was calling him under Bruce, to this revolutionary box-to-box winger.
He's totally transformed the way he plays under Eddie.
It seems like he can play anywhere in the midfield and up front. I mean, apart from the number 9, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
do you know what it is? When you watch him and Joe Willock swap all the time, so he's adaptable to those positions. And what it means is that, like, the fullbacks for the opposite team are dealing with a different person every time. So if you've got the same winger going at the fullbacks, they're gonna get used to, like, right, he goes down the left or he cuts inside, or and they're gonna adapt. Whereas when they're mixing it around, you get that different variety, don't you?
Yeah,
definitely. I think as well, Joe Linton, I think that's again probably that's not like, it obviously is a lot down to him, but it's testament to Eddie Howe as well. How much he's managed to transform them. And I mean, there's some footballers at that club who, let's be honest, aren't Champions League level footballers.
No.
However, they're performing at such a level at the moment where they're almost looking like Champions League footballers, when we know they probably don't quite have that quality. And I think that's the thing that'll be interesting to see, how much Eddie Howe is loyal to this squad that's got him this far.
Yeah.
Or the likes of, I'll just pick Jacob Murphy, for example, who's done a great job for Newcastle. Does he then know in the summer think we need a little bit better than Jacob Murphy? It's an interesting one.
Does Jacob Murphy get in the Champions League
better
squad?
Better than Jacob Murphy? Did you not see strike?
But that's just it. He's playing so far above his level. The beginning of the season, Almiron. Never seen Almiron play anywhere near that level.
I think if Almiron didn't have the injury that he had this season, I think he would have kept going.
It's like Murphy and Almiron have switched.
Yeah, like halfway through the season.
Murphy's absorbed Almiron's form.
He's put his boots on, that's the thing.
It's weird. But yeah, I agree with Joe. How much does Eddie Howe trust the players?
Yeah.
Now you're qualifying for Champions League. I mean,
probably.
If you do, which is very likely. But going into the new season, how much does he trust these players? The likes of Jacob Murphy, the likes of Almiron, Joe Willock.
Even the sort of fringe players like Lascelles. Surely there's going to come a point where they're going to have to be moved on.
So Lascelles, I believe Lascelles will be gone in the summer because he's not getting enough first team football. Matt Target, obviously he's been out with an injury. He was out with a kind of big injury, wasn't he? So he's been out for most of the season. So it's all about rehabilitation for him, coming back and introducing him into the squad again. Eddie Howe, obviously, you can see when they're on the pitch that he trusts his players so much. He gives them the roles that obviously he speaks to them individually. He gets the roles that they need, and they go and perform for him. I feel like under Bruce they weren't playing for the manager. Or
I don't think any team Steve Bruce has managed for the past
no.
15 years. I think he's liked at one club that he's been at, and that's Hull City. I think the Hull City supporters quite like him.
Yeah.
Every single other club he's been at pretty much think terribly of him.
Well, we started throwing cabbages at him when we wanted them sacked.
It's because the thing is with Steve Bruce, he's the master of excuses. I remember when he was Sunderland's manager, it was all the fans don't like us because I'm a Newcastle supporter born and I'm from Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
When he was at sort of like Aston Villa, I can imagine him saying things like, "But I've managed Birmingham," so you know he's so. It's never ever Steve Bruce's fault.
He's been around everywhere.
It was just with Bruce. It was always next time, next game
Yeah.
we'll do this. This is how we'll improve. It was.
Oh, that would have been nice in our press conferences. All we got was, "How the bacon did you see?"
That is a phenomenal clip, that though. How the bacon did you see?
Aye, so I think obviously Eddie trusts his players and that, and yes, there'll be a few shipped off in the summer. And like I said, there is some places that you need to strengthen, but it's. I think the core of the squad. So obviously your Nick Pope, your Trippier, your Botman, Shaw, they'll stay. Your Joe Linton, Bruno, Isaac, you know. I think he might even keep Maxi, you know. Maxi hasn't performed as he has previous seasons. He's don't get us wrong, he's not one of the worst, but he hasn't performed to what we know he can this season. But it's all about trying to get your players' heads screwed down, and you know you need to, like you say, focus. So we'll see it out at the end of the season, see where we get to. But Champions League, I think we definitely need to strengthen more.
Yeah, I think looking forward as well, we should probably talk about the big game tonight.
Yeah.
As we're recording this, it's Manchester City versus Arsenal tonight in what's not necessarily a title decider, but let's be honest, it's a bit of a title decider.
I think it is.
Very interesting game.
So as we stand, obviously prior to the game, Man City have played 30 games and they're on 70 points. Arsenal have played 32 with 75 points. So there's 5 points difference, but Man City have 2 games in hand.
And if Man City beat them tonight, they'll be 2 points behind with 2 games in hand. So if they win them 2 games in hand, they'll go 4 points ahead of Arsenal.
I think Arsenal have left themselves in a bad position by failing to beat Southampton, and before that West Ham. They had to win those games, especially obviously the Southampton at home you expect to win. They were 2-0 up against West Ham. You've got to win those games when City are hot on your heels, and I think unfortunately they've put themselves in a position where they've probably got to go to their Etihad and win, which is obviously not an easy thing to do at all. So
Arsenal's last 5 games, they've obviously won 2. They beat Crystal Palace 4-1, beat Leeds 4-1. Drew 2-2 with Liverpool, 2-2 West Ham, and 2-2 with Southampton. So, like you say, just they've dropped 6 points from them games, really, haven't they?
Yeah, massively. I mean, going to Anfield, I think the 2-2 at Anfield was a good result because I mean, winning at Anfield is very difficult. But it's the draws after, it's the West Ham, it's the Southampton. That's where the experience you see starts to lack.
Yeah.
You need to be winning games like that to stay on top.
I think a lot of it comes down to Man City as well, because they are so good, and they have been for so many years that any little drop of points, City are on your heels instantly. For me, I don't think he gets a lot of credit, but I still don't think Guardiola gets the credit he deserves, because I think he's honestly revolutionised English football. I think he's brilliant, and it's so hard to chase them as Liverpool were chasing them, or to try and stay ahead of them as Liverpool have done before and now Arsenal are trying to do. It's almost impossible because they just hardly ever drop points.
Well, it's weird now, isn't it? Because like I don't know if you have seen the things on social media about Pep Guardiola's like little apprentices.
Yeah.
He's got Mikel Arteta with Arsenal at the top of the league. He's got Vincent Kompany, who was under his spell at. He's now at Burnley, who's just won the league last night, as if we're recording this. And he's got Xavi as well.
Barcelona.
It just shows that he doesn't have like. It's showing you that he's not just performing. He's not improving players that are on the pitch. He's improving his background staff. He's improving players who are on the verge of retirement to become better coaches because of his philosophy and because of what they're learning from him.
He's breeding top coaches, like top.
I think
coaches.
as well, when you look, I mean, has anybody's team? I know we had the Invincibles, and there's been some great Man United sides and a few great Chelsea sides. Has any team ever played the football that this Man City team can play? I think they are, for me, especially the team a couple of years ago that got 100 points. They're the best team I've personally seen in the Premier League.
It's what
and he
what
was
the
in charge
Premier
of it.
League, it's what the Premier League missed. We didn't have a team that played fluid football. I mean, Alex Ferguson's side was a very counter-attacking side. It was, I mean, you never really saw a team that played possession. You never really saw a team that, I mean, the pressure they put on their opponents is just, I mean, it's unreal.
I mean, for me, the best side ever, literally the best club side ever, is the Barcelona 2010-11 side. And he coached that as well. That was Pep Guardiola. So to have multiple teams who were considered all-time greats under one manager is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this for this season. When you look at Man City, obviously top of the goal scoring list, top goal scorer in the league, Haaland 32.
Wow.
Top assists, Kevin De Bruyne 15.
Absolutely incredible.
Top of the passes,
Rodri
2,560. And then you go most through balls, Kevin De Bruyne. You know, I'm looking at here and I'm just thinking they're just all over.
Yeah,
but he's got a team where they're great on the attack, they're great on the defence. They've got the good passing team. Best thing I like about them is that when they lose the ball, they just never leave the opponent.
Yeah,
they never give them the space. They're always there.
I think in terms of tonight, it's going to be a massive ask for Arsenal to go there and win.
I think more because they've got to go there and go for
it. They've
really got to expose
the pressure
themselves
on Man City. But if Arsenal can go there and win, and if they win tonight, I think they'll win the league, because I think that confidence that'll breed anything other than an Arsenal win, so a draw or a City win. I think it's Manchester City's.
Yep. I think
Shall I have a score prediction?
Oh.
I'm gonna go 3-1 Manchester City.
Oh, I'm gonna go 3-2 Manchester City.
I'm gonna go 2-0 Man City.
Clean sheet.
So we've all gone City. So maybe Arsenal will prove us wrong.
I think they'll keep a clean sheet. I think just the way Man City play, they just. I can't see Arsenal's attack getting through that, especially with the recent form that they've had. I mean, yes, they're scoring goals, but they're not getting results. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're starting from behind all the games, so it's one of those where you're like, it could. Do you know what it is? It could go either way. Arsenal could come out and play the best game they've had in their life and absolutely. I wouldn't say thrash Man City, but
an Arsenal early goal would make it really interesting. If they can take the lead early on,
massively.
That'll be a big game changer. But I think, unfortunately for Arsenal fans, I think City will have enough to get through the game.
So let's talk about obviously the games that are coming up this weekend. I think what we'll do is we'll probably take it up to. We'll talk about the big games, obviously, but till next Tuesday. We'll talk about, obviously, this is being recorded on the Wednesday. So tonight, big games. Obviously, we've already mentioned the Man City Arsenal one. We'll have West Ham Liverpool. That's a big one for Liverpool.
You just don't know what Liverpool team's going to turn up.
And that's away from home for Liverpool.
Yeah.
You don't know about West Ham at the moment either.
They've strung
weird.
together a couple of nice results of late, haven't they?
Yeah,
They beat Bournemouth, they beat Genk in the cup.
The draw with Arsenal.
Yeah, the draw with Arsenal, great result.
They're picking up form.
And Liverpool's one of them teams where when you look at it at the beginning of the season, you expect them to be in the top 4.
Oh, definitely.
But this season just doesn't seem to have clicked.
No, not at all.
Until like now.
And even now, I mean, there's been a few false dawns. Like when they beat Man United 7-0, we all thought they're going to kick on here. And then the next game they went and lost 1-0 to Bournemouth. So it's been such a strange season for a team that last season was chasing a quadruple. It's been so strange.
It's the same with every team. Like I feel like it's the same for every team this season. Like it's been such a weird season. I don't know why. But like some of the results, I mean, even with us, obviously early on in the season, drawing 3-3 with Man City.
Yeah.
That game was just like, you thought, what's going on here? Like this doesn't happen at all. Especially when they brought in Haaland, and they looked like they were going to be unstoppable this season, and then that 3-3 were just like, whoa. And like the one, obviously, weekend's game 6-1 against Tottenham,
Yeah.
you know, it's like probably had them beat the first 20 minutes. It was 5-0 in 20 minutes.
I don't think there's any probably about it. I think at 5-0 he's had them beat.
Yeah.
Saying that,
I believe that.
I remember one of the games I went to when I was younger was the Newcastle Arsenal
Oh,
game.
is this the one I'm thinking about?
Yeah. We were down 4-0 at half
Yeah.
time. And I left the stadium.
Oh,
Biggest
you plonker.
regret of my life. Left the stadium, was freezing cold, and I never heard the end of it from my dad, and I still don't hear the end of it today. So it's a big one. So moving on, obviously we've got Everton, Newcastle. Obviously Newcastle are away to Everton. I think that's probably the one we're gonna need that win.
It's going to be a tough one at Goodison.
It's not gonna be easy.
It's never easy going to Goodison.
But
I
like
feel
we
they
like we
always-
mentioned before, it's always midweek.
Yeah.
So under the lights, Goodison.
You got a bit of a South Coast derby as well. Southampton, Bournemouth.
Southampton, Bournemouth.
That's a big one for the relegation.
Big one for
battle.
relegation, yeah. I mean, Southampton, if they're going to have any hope of staying up, they need to win games like that.
Yeah.
Bournemouth have clawed themselves away from danger a little bit, like with some good results, but
Yeah.
it could all change very, very quickly, especially if they lose a game like that tonight. Southampton need that, though.
Oh yeah.
And then we've got Spurs Man United.
Come on, Man U, please.
Honestly, I could not tell you which way that's going to go because Man United, again, they're another team. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. Tottenham, after just being battered 6-1, they're
They'll
going to need a reaction.
They're gonna be going all guns blazing.
Yeah.
Aren't
So you
Well,
just don't know which way it's going to go. If I had to pick one, I'd say Man United will probably edge it, but I wouldn't know.
I think it'll be a close game. It'll be a tight one as well. I think.
I just think Man United now, at the moment, without Varane and Martinez at the back, they're just
Yeah,
so
they're a lot
weak.
weaker.
I mean, Maguire just no.
And then we've got talk a bit about Saturday. So Crystal Palace, West Ham.
Bit of a mid-table clash.
But yeah, I think it's another one. West Ham have clawed themselves away from dangers a little bit of late
Yeah.
with some good results. So I think that's one that again could go either way. But ultimately, I don't think either of those teams are going to be in trouble come the end of the season.
Nah,
Nah.
if West Ham win, they go above Palace in 12th with a game in hand.
I'll be alright for them. And then we've got Fulham, Man City on Sunday.
You
Man
know what,
City.
that's a bit of a tasty one, you know.
You'd imagine
At
Man
Craven
City.
Cottage.
I think if Man City win tonight, I don't think anything will stop them. So
No, yeah.
genuinely, I think if Man City win tonight, they'll win every game for the rest
Yeah.
of the season. I think.
I mean, I've had a look, and they haven't got like a lot of bad games to go.
Yeah.
They've got obviously Arsenal tonight, Fulham, then they've got West Ham, Leeds, Everton, Chelsea, Brighton, Brentford.
All games you'd expect mainly them to pick up full points.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would expect them to pick them all points up. And then we've got the big one for Sunday for Finley.
Yep.
Man United, Aston Villa at Old Trafford.
Yeah, it's a bit of a congestion in my family. Got a few Man United supporters in my family.
That'll be a fun Sunday for you.
Yeah, my mother and a few of my brothers are Man United fans.
How do you see that one going?
Sorry?
How do you see that one going?
It's at Old Trafford. You know what? I fancy us.
You won there last season, didn't you?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that was when Martinez did his
Your little dance.
antics when Bruno
Is that when
absolutely skied it.
Yeah, he told Ronaldo to take the penalty, didn't he?
Yeah,
And then he
but
did his
Bruno
little
did
dance.
it. Yeah, but you know what? I think with their defence at the moment, I want to see how they get on against Spurs, and I think we could get a result. At least at least a draw. We
Yeah.
can get
Yeah.
out of that.
Not bad that.
And then we've got Liverpool Spurs on Sunday.
I want a draw
It's
out of that. I think
the late kickoff.
At Anfield, I think I can only see
it's at Anfield. yeah.
Liverpool probably.
They need it.
But
They need
again,
to get any chance of
I've said it
Europe
before.
seats.
You just don't know what Liverpool are going to turn up. But normally at Anfield,
Yeah,
they do turn up.
Yeah.
that could be another. I mean, we could see another 6-1 if Liverpool turn up.
Spurs really need to put their ideas up, or this season's going to end up being a bit of a disaster for them.
Bit of a should be a bit of a cruise for yous on Sunday. Southampton at home.
Do you know what it is? We've played them twice. Obviously in the Carabao, we've played them 3 times this season so far. We played them in the Carabao Cup twice, and then obviously once in the league. It's one of those games where you have no idea how it's going to go. Because when we played them in the Carabao Cup semi-finals, they were really close games, and they could just come out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully that's not the case. Obviously from the win from Sunday, hopefully we'll keep steamrolling forward and
I mean that
going, but
that is a fixture you want to make sure you guarantee 3 points
Guarantee
from,
the 3
because
points.
it's bottom. What, they bottom of the league?
aye.
They can
They're
sometimes be the
poor.
tricky ones, can't they? When
They are, yeah.
when you're
but
pushing towards the end of the season, but like you say, you've got to be looking to pick up 3 points.
yeah,
there.
gotta
if
be
you
going
want to
on.
be protecting that spot, a game like Southampton at home with the fans behind you, I think
Yeah, it's a big
you
one.
want to
Oh,
get that one over the line.
Massive. So obviously we've talked a bit about the Premier League. Let's mention a bit about the Championship, obviously for Joe's sake.
Get the Sunderland supporter involved.
Currently Joe is sitting 6th in the league.
Yeah, I'm sitting pretty at the minute. Like I said earlier, it's been a very good season. No
And
one
not-
could have seen this coming.
Not a bad record for your last 5 games. 3 wins, 2 draws.
Yeah, very good. I mean, I think before that last 5, I think we had 1 win in 9, so it went on a bit of a slump.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after a couple of the games, I think we found ourselves about 7 points outside the playoffs. So we're like, it's done now. We're not gonna get there. But all of a sudden, we've strung a bit of a run together, and everyone just seems to keep losing around us. So we found ourselves in a position where, if Sheffield United can do us a favour tonight and either draw or beat West Brom, it's in our own hands to get the playoffs, which is unbelievable, really, when you think, like I said, we finished 5th last season in League One. So it's unbelievable, really, where we could end up.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, your next game, you've got Watford, who are currently sitting 13th in the league, who, let's just say, haven't been on the best of form. They've lost 3, won 1, drew 1.
Yeah, that really worries us. The statistically the worst side in the Championship of 2023, which makes us even more concerned that they're going to come up here and like be 2-0 up in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Aye.
it's worrying, but that's just Sunderland. Fingers crossed. I do think we'll win the game on Saturday, and then hopefully, as long as a few things go our way, we might be in a position where we can just get a point at Preston away on the last game of the season to secure it.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, it's so weird. The Championship is so unpredictable.
It's
I mean,
ridiculous.
I remember when we were in the Championship, we had like 3 seasons in there. First time we finished, I think it was about 13th. Second season we got beaten in the playoff final by Fulham. Tom Kearney scoring the only goal, and then third time of asking, we got to the playoff final again, and beat Derby in the final. But one thing I learned was to never fall in love with a lone player.
No, definitely.
Oh, yeah. See that
One
all
thing
on
I've got to
TikTok now.
ask. Obviously, I absolutely fell in love with Tammy Abraham.
Yes.
We didn't sign him because he went back to Chelsea, and when he was at Chelsea, they had a transfer ban and they couldn't sign any players. So, I mean, they had to keep him, and obviously now he's gone to Roma. But one thing I've got to ask is, how are you feeling about Amad Diallo coming 2 games left?
You said don't fall in love with a lone player. I've definitely fallen in love with a lone player. I mean, he. Maybe I'm being a little bit recency biased here, but I'm going to say something a bit bold. I think he's the best player I've seen play for Sunderland, and I've seen Premier League footballers. I think he is genuinely, as a footballer,
Even better than Will Grigg.
even better than Mildred. He's the most skillful, talented footballer I've seen play for Sunderland. He's so good. I think if we go up, we might have a chance of getting him on loan again next year.
Yeah.
You never know though. United might want to have a look at him in their first team because I genuinely think he is that good. But unfortunately, yeah, it looks like his time's coming to an end at Sunderland.
I mean, yeah, I've been to a few home games this season, and I went to Blackburn at home, and then I went to Birmingham at home, and both of those games, he's just a little magician.
He is the
so
definition of
good.
magic on the pitch. He's unbelievable to watch, and thankfully we're in a position where we've actually got a lot of talented young players who are ours as well. I mean, you look at Jack Clark on the left-hand side. He's been probably, for me, our player of the season.
Yeah.
We've got Patrick Roberts, who's a little bit older, 26 now, but he's another unbelievable footballer. And then we've got the likes of Edouard Michou on loan from PSG, who looks like we're going to sign. Dan Neil, who's come through the youth academy, he's the top
Yeah.
player. So we have got a lot of good players, but I am very sad if it is the end and we don't see Ahmad back in a Sunderland shirt.
Yeah. Is there any lone players you fell in love with over the time at Newcastle? I don't really think there's been many of them.
No, not.
He's had
many.
like Remy on loan. That was
Yeah,
a
we
decent
did. We
loan.
had Remy. He was done all right for it. I think we had. Was it? Do you want to know something? The one that I liked, many people maybe not, was Kennedy from
Chelsea.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he done all right for actually.
Then you
Um,
signed him permanent, I think, didn't you?
I think so, but no, he went back.
Nah.
Did he? I thought
he
you
went
then signed him
back.
again and he wasn't as good.
No, I can't.
I think
can't
they just
remember.
have I think you signed him on loan, and I think you had him again for another year.
Yeah,
Potentially,
maybe
yeah.
a 2 year
Went back.
loan. Yeah, but yeah, do you know what it is? Obviously, before the likes of like Bruno and Joel and stuff like that, obviously, it was that Brazilian flair that you
Yeah.
always wanted to see. You know,
yeah.
so I quite liked.
Took you back
like-
to your Hatton Ben Arthur days.
Oh, man, don't get started. Don't get started. But yeah.
What about that Dutch left back you had on loan a couple of seasons back? What was his
Jethro
name?
Willems.
Jethro Willems, yeah.
Oh, do you know what
he
it
was
is? I would,
decent, you know.
I would love for him to have actually got a proper
Yeah,
contract.
he
with
scored a
United.
good goal at Anfield, didn't he?
It was a bella of a goal.
Yeah.
I thought he was pretty decent.
How would it?
Was he on loan from that AZ Alkmaar?
I think so.
It was one of the Dutch
Can't
teams. It might have been.
remember.
Was it not PSV Eindhoven? It was one of the Dutch teams
Yeah.
anyway.
I think he went back. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
but-
gonna check because this is actually like intriguing.
I liked him. I thought he was
Yeah,
good.
he
at
was a decent
for
player.
Newcastle.
Yeah, do you know what it is? He was, and it was annoying that he didn't get the like the recognition that he got. Like obviously, I think he should have just got I think they should have given him a contract.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? He's one of those players that loves the club.
Mm.
The amount he posts about Newcastle and his time in Newcastle, it's the same as like Jonas Gutierrez. He does the same. He posts so much on
Yeah.
social media about Newcastle. It was actually Eintracht Frankfurt
Eintracht
Oh, wow.
Frankfurt. So we're
Oh.
both wrong.
Yeah.
that he was at.
Yeah.
He was at
Not bad.
PSV before that,
Oh,
Ah,
there you go.
right.
but no, he was at Eintracht Frankfurt and then he came to us.
Do you know one player I remember at Newcastle that I don't know if he played much, but when you signed him on loan, I was like, wow, I'm surprised you got him. Was that Valentino Lazaro?
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
The
aye,
right back
yeah.
on loan.
Was,
He does bits.
was he
now,
Aus-
he's been doing
Austrian?
alright,
Yeah,
aye,
he's-
aye,
he's-
Austrian, yeah.
He's doing well now.
Yeah,
isn't
he
he?
is. He's doing really well. Like, do you know what it is? You look at players like Hosselu.
Yeah.
Do you know we had him?
Yeah.
And he's doing well. Obviously Lazaro. You had Chancellor Mbemba done a bit.
Yeah.
he done a
he's,
canny
I
bit,
think
huh?
is he still playing for Porto? Him?
I think so.
I mean, it's the same with Sunderland. That we had Sebastian Coates, who
I was just gonna
was
say
never
that.
really that good for us.
Sporting
Now
now.
he's starting centre off, Sporting Lisbon.
yeah.
And strange how things work out. So I know you probably don't keep with the Championship as much as me, but the top two look like they're going up. So who do you fancy for the playoffs?
Do you want? I think I've got to back the Villa youngsters. I'm going for Borough,
Borough.
Cameron Archer, and
I think
Aaron
Borough are the
Ramsey.
favourites with the Boogies.
I think just seeing them play, and I think Michael Carrick as well. I think he's done an
Yeah.
excellent job.
The game was it Monday.
Yeah, they got bit off Luton.
Luton. Yeah. Luton didn't look the strongest side to begin with, but then they picked it up.
Yeah,
So I think they're one of them teams where you could get anything from them.
yeah.
So they might find it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to stick with Borough. Like,
Borough. I'm
Do you know-
gonna have to go with my heart and say Sunderland. However, my head is telling us
do you know what?
Middlesbrough.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
For your and my sake, I hope it is Sunderland.
To
Yeah,
be
actually.
fair, that would
Mm-hmm.
to see the North East Derby back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It
not
is
just
honestly one of the most entertaining games or like fixtures to keep an eye on.
not just that though. Like, it's obviously it's good for the North East, but it's good for Sunderland because obviously they're back in the Prem.
Yeah.
They're getting obviously the money, the TV rights and stuff like that. It's good for Newcastle as well because you get 6 points a season. So
I would
know.
like to point out
Yeah.
the last time Newcastle beat Sunderland was 2011,
right, okay, that's
and they haven't
not,
beat us since.
yeah, but
It
times have
would,
changed.
it would not shock me that if Sunderland
If
got
we
in the
go
Premier
and beat
League,
them,
that would be the only game they won all season.
If Sunderland
Get beat every game, but win
if
two.
Sunderland get back into the Prem and they get beat Newcastle, right? I'll clip this, right, and I'm gonna put it everywhere, and I'm just gonna go, "Oops, I was wrong." Right?
Okay, fair enough.
But no, I think Borough will probably.
All right.
Borough will
I
probably.
suppose
go up.
we should do a little prediction for the Champions League as well. There's
Yeah.
two Milan clubs,
do, yeah.
Man City and Real Madrid. Just
Well, yeah.
who do you fancy?
9th of May is the first Man City versus Real Madrid leg.
Who do you think's
Um,
gonna go the way?
Oh, it's so hard because Man City, you know, they've always bottled it, haven't they?
Yeah,
But-
they've always sort of fell at the final hurdle, haven't they?
And they've got Real Madrid, the champions. They're not doing too well. I mean, they're second in the league, but obviously
Quite a way behind
quite a
Barcelona.
Yeah, they're not doing as well as they like in the league. But when it comes to Champions League, I feel like Real Madrid just turn a different,
And you
turn
always
a
get
different
you
leaf.
always
They're
get
just so good.
when you get to like the semi-finals, you always get great games.
You
Oh,
do
yeah.
definitely.
You always get moments that you remember.
And it's weird because you've still got the likes of Modric pulling out
Modric, yeah, he's
Modric,
like
yeah.
37 years
incredible
old.
performances. He is
Unbelievable
just-
player.
Real Madrid in the Champions League, it's so hard to go against them.
It is.
But
But you're going to.
I am going to, yes. I'm gonna tip Man City to win it,
To win the whole thing?
to win the whole thing.
I
I think
agree.
if Man City get past Real Madrid, I don't see AC Milan or Inter beating
I
Man
agree.
City.
If you're Pep, what do you focus more on? Because you obviously you've
Oh,
got the chance of going for the
yeah.
you got a chance of going
Nah,
for the Prem. But you've got
I
a
think
chance
they're
of
in a
going for the Champions
situation
League.
now where it's just to try and win every single game. It's come at that
Mm.
point in the season. I think they might do the treble. They're in the FA Cup final,
They are.
the-
Manchester
in the
just
semi-final of
already
the
in
Champions
final.
League, and they're coming towards the end of the Premier League. I genuinely think they could do a treble.
It'll be an interesting
Wow.
one for them. I think first leg of the Bernabeu. I think Real Madrid's got to take that one. I think it'll be closer. I think it'll be a 2-1 or a 1-0. I don't think it's going to be massively like a massive scoreline. And then second leg, I think I think Man City might nick it.
So do they go
And then
through? Do you think?
I think they go through.
And do you think
To
they
be
go all the
honest-
way and beat either of the Milans in the final?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah,
I think the
It depends though
winner,
because it's the occasion.
it's the exactly. I
You
mean,
know.
yeah.
a few years ago on paper when they got to the final, they were a better team than Chelsea, but Chelsea just played better on the day. So you never know. But
Yeah,
I think the winner of that Man City Real Madrid tie
win it.
will win. The
you'd
Champions League.
you'd imagine so.
I really thought Napoli would have beaten.
Yeah,
What was it, AC Milan?
yeah.
But who knows? I mean, obviously Napoli have been focused on the league. I mean, they're absolutely storming it. So maybe the Italian teams, like the Milans, have.
Put a
bit
focus
more-
on the Champions
yeah,
League.
maybe
And who
they have
knows?
to.
Like, let's not pretend we're all Italian football experts. They could
Yeah,
there could be really good sides just from what we see
yeah.
of Italian football typically.
You don't
you'd
watch it
fancy-
week in week out.
No,
really,
you'd
do you?
you'd fancy Manchester City or Real Madrid, whoever gets through that.
Obviously, so we've talked about quite a few things actually.
Yeah, talk about that.
I just want to talk about transfers, possible transfers. One that came up. Did you see the Wrexham one?
Oh, what, Gareth Bale?
Gareth Bale,
Yeah.
Wrexham.
I don't think that'll happen. I think he's too happy with his retired life playing his golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're joking out anyway. I think obviously
It was over Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Him and Rob
Aye.
McElhenney.
Yeah. And
But-
then Ryan Reynolds got involved earlier.
He
So
did,
he was
yeah.
tweeting.
Did he?
but like I think Ben Foster's going to sign another contract as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's likely.
So you're going to have the Cycling GK.
I think they might win League Two or be right up there because they've got the
Yeah.
the funds. They've already got some players who are probably League One standard, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they'd be favourites to win League Two.
Well, I mean, their captain Bentosa was Cheltenham's captain.
Yeah, I memean,
And,
you look at Paul Mullen. He was
yeah.
top scorer in League Two,
Yeah.
and he jumped down to the National League.
I've just seen one that this came in the last hour, and I'm going to go back because it's obviously Newcastle, and I'm going to talk about it. Marcelo Brozovic from Inter Milan
To Newcastle.
to Newcastle for 31 million. The midfielder.
I mean, I mean, again, I'm not going to pretend I'm
No.
some Italian football expert, but he looks a decent
Looks a
player.
good player. I've seen him play for Croatia a few times.
Yeah.
He looks decent. I mean,
could be that. It could be that difference we need in midfield. Obviously, if we don't get the likes of Madison or
Declan Rice.
Declan Rice, we
I don't know where Declan Rice could go.
I think he just sits at the base of that midfield, and I think you'd have him sitting, you'd have Bruno in there, and then maybe Joe Linton.
Yeah,
I think that's
guess
quite a
so.
good
Yeah,
midfield.
To me, where'd you put Longstaff?
No,
I don't think Longstaff makes it
in
in
the
that midfield.
reserves.
Oh, really?
I don't. What the Newcastle fans see in that man?
Right. Basically, beginning of the season, right? My favourite saying was, Sean Longstaff is the most inconsistent player in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Right? One game he'd be absolutely brilliant, the next game he'd be rubbish. Right? My whole opinion has changed on him now.
Oh God.
He's more. He's not consistent, right? Like, some games, yes, he will have a rubbish game. But he runs that midfield really well. And it's the things that you don't see.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you could watch that game and be like, oh, like you watch on the telly, and yeah, he plays a pass there, but it's the runs he makes, the tracking back he does, the work he gives. And don't get us wrong, he's not the worst player we've got.
Yeah, I think he's
No,
a...
yeah.
I do. I
not-
think he's a canny footballer. I think
But I don't think
he's a good player, but I think if you sign Declan Rice, I think he's the one who drops out that midfield.
I just think, yeah. Again, I just think if you're qualifying for Champions League, I think
you
know,
need a little better.
Yeah, I mean, every time
True.
I've watched Newcastle with Longstaff on the pitch, he's missed some absolute like stupid like chances.
Yeah.
It's just, I think the problem is when you going for Champions League, it's that inconsistency that can cost you,
Definitely.
and I think that's where when you're qualifying and you're starting to try and push beyond just being like the average team, that's where you need to cut.
Yeah.
From
That's
the
where
squad. You need
sort
to
of...
cut the inconsistency.
That's
from
why I
the
think
squad.
a lot of the top teams have done so well. If you hear any of the top managers talk, they talk about keeping the squad new and fresh. And I think that's going to be a big thing for Newcastle going forward.
I mean, you just got to look at Man City when they let Sterling,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Cancelo.
Go. It's just,
Yeah.
and still look at them. They're still absolutely
still flying.
like they're just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, indeed. Chelsea. So
What a joke!
I don't know where to start with Chelsea.
What a joke!
they're weighing up the options. Obviously, João Felix is on a loan. They're weighing up the options for him. But I've also saw they are after Adriano Onana from Inter.
Yeah. I'll be honest, João Felix, I really like him.
Yeah,
I think you watch him and you can see he's a top player. What he doesn't do is score enough goals, which obviously isn't ideal. But I think if you put him alongside a proper striker, I think he could be a real top player for Chelsea. They do need a goalkeeper. Onana maybe could be that goalkeeper for them, because I don't think Kepa is up to much.
Well,
nor
they've
Mendy.
actually offered Kepa as part of the deal.
Part of the deal. Yeah.
Is he reliable though? He had issues at Ajax.
He did.
He's-
He had
he
a
fell out with-
year-long ban, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because of a drug problem, which he claimed was nothing, but he got banned for a year, and that's
Mm.
how he ended up in Inter Milan.
And he also fell out with Conte at Inter when Conte was there.
Yes.
He'd be the best keeper for Prison FC. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea, they're just a joke. I think their owner is playing FIFA. It's like when you log on to FIFA career mode and you give yourself £1 billion to
Yeah.
just go crazy with it. I mean,
As well, when you hear the
It's
stories
stupid.
that he's going into the dressing room and talking to the
Yeah.
players, like the players must be thinking, "What on earth are you talking about, mate?"
I think as a manager, if the owner came in, I'd feel a bit awkward.
Yeah.
I'd feel a bit under pressure of what am I saying to these players?
I think as well though, from the players' perspective, they must look at that and think, you don't know what you're talking about, mate. You've never been involved with football. You're an American guy who's come over here and you're trying to tell us how to play.
yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster at the
Doesn't work,
minute.
like I said, it doesn't work at all. But obviously Chelsea, on the topic of Chelsea, by the looks of it, they're close to appointing Mauricio Pochettino. Finley shaking his head.
I mean, it's just another. I mean, maybe I'm proved wrong. Maybe next season they're absolutely incredible and they've all gelled together and, all their star signings come good. But it just seems like a circus.
Yeah.
club at the moment.
It
It's
seems like they
just-
don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
Everything's
just-
up in the air at the minute.
yeah.
They don't know what's going on. They
So all of
don't
a
know.
sudden it was Jose Enrique, then there was mentions of Carlo Ancelotti coming back, then there was Jose Mourinho.
Yeah,
Now there's
it's just-
Nagelsmann. Now it's Pochettino. It's a strange one. It is.
It just is a circus. That's what it is at the moment. It's a club that they're not going to be threatened by relegation, but it's just a club to laugh at. I think at the moment.
I mean, you look where they were 18 months ago. They'd won the Champions League. They were signing players like look when they brought in Lukaku. I'll be honest, I thought Chelsea might have won the league that year.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, and it just obviously they haven't been helped by circumstances out of their control, like Abramovich having to sell
Yeah,
the
yeah.
club. But it's just not a well-run club at the moment.
It's not. So obviously we've talked about football, being sports journalists and having an interest in football. Joe, obviously in the podcast that goes out tomorrow, you mentioned that you've got a likeness for cricket.
Yeah, I love cricket. I think in the summer I'm heading down to Headingley, which is in Leeds,
Yeah.
to watch England v Australia Day 4 of I think it's the third test of the Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited for that. England, for anyone who's been keeping up with them, have been unbelievable over the last 12 sort of to 15 months under Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes. So long may that continue, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can get the win over the Aussies, because we need it after a few disappointing Ashes defeats down under. We could do with a nice win back in England.
Yeah, I was gonna say hopefully by day 4 we're not
Yeah.
being put down under in our own country.
Yeah.
True. And obviously, Finley Fiesel, I know you got a fond interest in Formula One.
Yes, it's back.
It's back.
In May. We've got
Azerbaijan. innit?
4 races in 5 weeks. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Baku.
Azerbaijan 28th. It
Thank
starts the
God.
20th, innit? Aye.
Yeah, it's been. We had the we had a Grand Prix at the start of the month in April,
Mhm.
and then we've
Australia,
had
yeah.
Australia, and we've had a complete month off.
Did you stay up for it?
I did, yeah. I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning for a Grand Prix, and I was all over Twitter with it, connecting with fans and having a little chat during the race. It was an absolute carnage end to the race. I don't know if you saw it. But
I didn't catch it, no. I
No,
was
it was-
fast asleep.
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, it's been rough having the month off. It's the only downside of being a Formula One fan, because sometimes you can have like 2 to 3 weeks without a race, and you're just like, well, a bit of intermission music going
Yeah.
on, and you're just waiting for
Some
the
elevator
next race.
music.
Yeah. But it's back this weekend. We've got the Azerbaijan Grand Prix with the new sprint format,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it.
And then you've got Miami after that, haven't you?
Yeah, that'll be a good race.
Be good. Be good. Obviously, at the
It's
minute.
nice.
What team just follow?
I'm a McLaren fan, but I
Right.
do like Williams. I mean, I'm just like a British fan pretty much. So McLaren, Williams, and then Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Mercedes, pretty much.
So obviously we've got looking at the standings. Yeah, obviously Lewis Hamilton's in 4th in the drivers'
Yeah.
standings. For Great Britain, he's the highest. Obviously
Yeah.
we've got George Russell in 7th, and then Lando Norris in 8th.
I like Lando Norris.
Yeah,
I like
good.
Lando.
He seems a nice guy.
Yeah,
So-
he's a good laugh. Unfortunately, McLaren are just going through a bit of a rough period. We had a very good season in 2021 with Ricciardo winning the Italian Grand Prix, but the new era hasn't really
Hasn't set off
been
yet.
great for McLaren. But Williams, on the other hand, they're surging their way forward again.
Aye.
Yeah, from being pretty much the back runner for the hybrid area, they've made some steps forward, which is good to see. They've got the former Mercedes engineer as their team principal. They've got James Knowles.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's doing very well.
And looking at
It's good to see.
the team standings, Red Bull look to seem flying away with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be another Red Bull flyaway,
It's gonna be.
unfortunately. But
123 points they're on at the minute, and second place is Aston Martin with 65.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost half.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Red Bull have just aced it. I mean, they've even got a wind tunnel penalty this season, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them. They're just so effective in what they do. I think they've nailed the hybrid, the new regulations
Mm.
absolutely spot on. And I mean, Max Verstappen is he's like Marmite. You love him or you hate him.
Where
But
do you stand?
I love him. I do, even though I'm a British fan.
Don't sound confident with that.
I know it seemed like a subdued answer.
No, I do. I didn't have any hard feelings for him in 2021 when
All the drama happened.
yeah
Please don't talk about it.
Lewis Hamilton got snatched of his 8th world title. But I don't have any hard feelings. I'm not that type of fan where I hate any of the drivers.
Yeah.
I'm just I just love the sport in general. And to be honest, on a weekend, as much as I support McLaren and like to see Williams do well, I'm just hoping for a good race, and I'm hoping for a competitive race each weekend. And with the sprint format this weekend, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So yeah, we've got a practice session on Friday, followed by a qualifying session for the race, and then Saturday is all about the sprint, and then Sunday it's lights out for Baku.
And away we go.
Yep.
The Europa League final was in Baku a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was, yeah.
Azerbaijan, yeah.
I don't know if any of you are interested. Obviously, we are sports journalists, and it is sport. Boxing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like me
Mhm.
boxing.
Have you seen that Chris Eubank has triggered his rematch clause?
He has, yes.
17th of June against Liam Smith. Now, did you see the video of when the last fought when Liam Smith won? Did you see
Yes,
the video
uh-huh.
that came out after of him playing Sunday League?
Yeah, literally the day after, yeah.
So you go from knocking Chris Eubank Jr. out on the Saturday night, and then on the Sunday morning you're up to play Sunday.
That's the life that, like.
That's just incredible. It's so good to see that. I mean,
Imagine,
yeah.
like, you turn out on a Sunday, you were up last night watching the fight, all of a
Yeah.
sudden the bloke who was on the telly's on the other team.
Obviously,
just mental.
the last fight ended with Liam Smith stopping Chris Eubank. Do you see a similar thing happening this time?
I think the way the last fight ended, I think going into it, I did fancy Eubank. I thought he
Mhm.
might have had it, but seeing the way the last fight went, I think again it could be the same result.
I think with Chris Eubank Jr., I think the problem is he has this sort of shadow over him of being Chris Eubank
Eubank
Senior's
Senior.
son.
Yeah.
With obviously how good his dad was as a boxer, to where he is, I think more is probably expected of him. But do you know what is? I think it'll be a good fight again.
Yeah.
The first one was a good fight. Second one will be a good one. Question based off of boxing. Obviously, we're on social media. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
All this kingpin misfits.
Yeah.
All these content creators. What's your opinions on them?
I mean, I'm not the kind of I'm not a die-hard boxing fan where I
Mhm.
think a lot of them it bothers because
Yeah.
it goes against the sport, which I can understand. However, for me, it's just a bit of a laugh, isn't it? I'm not going to say I watch it because I haven't really watched it. I think the
No.
last one of them I watched was when KSI fought Joe Weller 3 years ago or whatever.
Oh wow.
That was
Wow.
probably the last one I watched.
Jeez.
Wow.
Not even the Logan Paul ones.
No, I didn't watch the Logan Paul ones.
Wow.
Actually, I might have saw the first Logan Paul when they drew.
Drew, yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
saw that. So yeah, I don't really have much of an opinion on it. I think crack on, they're not hurting anybody. But I think
Well, apart
sometimes
from getting punched in the face.
Yeah, other than
sometimes I think it annoys the pros when you get people like Jake Paul saying he would knock out Canelo Alvarez and things.
Yeah.
I think that's what gets on people's.
He's
No.
he's fighting Nate Diaz.
No, I've seen that.
Wow.
That's a weird one. That.
And you've got KSI JJ fighting Joe Fournier as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'd never heard of Joe Fournier.
He's alright.
Yeah,
He's fought nobody. He's the only somebody he fought was David Hay when he was
Yeah.
past his best.
that's
so.
the thing. For me, for as a viewer, from my enjoyment, I'd just like them to fight each other, like KSI to
Yeah.
fight Jake Paul, and
I think that's what's
Like,
Let it all be
what's
done
next.
with.
yeah, I'm not really bothered about seeing KSI fighting actual boxers.
Yeah, no.
Like,
I think it's good for them though, because obviously they're going out, they're building the social media brands, they're
Oh, yeah,
building them
definitely.
as themselves, and I think based off obviously what I've seen from the outside, obviously looking in, it's good for them because obviously they're bringing in revenue, they're getting the money from it, and people who might be a smaller social media influencer who doesn't make a lot is earning a lot from there.
hmm
Whereas for boxing, I can see why people will get annoyed because they go, "These aren't real fighters. This isn't entertaining." But it's a different kind of entertaining, a different sort
Yeah.
of like new
It's like-
people coming into the sport.
It's like WWE
yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
suppose.
for boxing.
It's like,
And-
I'll be honest, I'm fond of a bit of WWE here and there. It's like
it's good.
it's
It's good entertainment.
it's entertainment. I think like I said, the only problem I think the influencer boxing has is that there is a genuine sort of these heavyweights and actual boxers who've dedicated the whole life to this,
Yeah.
who fail and maybe making a mockery of it, which I
Mhm.
don't think's the intention. I definitely don't think that's what they're
I
trying to
don't
do.
think at all. I honestly think it's I think it's a good thing because ultimately you're bringing a whole new type of audience to the sport, and some of these audiences might go, this is actually quite
Yeah.
fun. I'm gonna see what the professionals are doing.
Definitely,
Because
yeah.
like you watch some of these fights and you don't necessarily see a clean knockout. You don't get the greatest of stoppages. So then they're gonna be like, I want to see. Like what's the British professional boxer doing? Is he doing well? Are they?
Yeah.
I want to see someone properly knock someone out. So you're probably seeing that these audiences who are watching the likes of Misfits and Kingpin, that they watch Misfits and go, it's good, it's entertaining, but I'm not seeing a knockout.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pay for the Zone
Mhm.
or pay
Yeah.
for Sky Sports Boxing
Oh,
and
yeah.
see someone
get-
knock someone out
yeah.
because that's more entertaining. I think the thing that's tarnishing it is when, I don't know if you've seen, but when Misfits tried tag team
I
boxing,
did say
Oh
that,
yeah, that
I
just
think that was a step too far. I think
Uh-huh.
that's when it turns into a bit of a mockery.
it's trying to
that's
turn it into
when-
WWE.
That's when
thing.
the pros and the hardcore boxing fans, that's when they'll look at that and go, well, you are just
Yeah, I think
making a mockery of what we do.
that's what ruined its reputation a bit. I
Yeah.
think that's when it's stepping over the line. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's a bit far. I think you just
Uh-huh.
need to keep it at just boxing. I mean, bringing through fighters that might not necessarily get the chance to come through professional like TV boxing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it gives young fighters and fighters that haven't been able to make it professional another chance.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's good. It's to make a name, and you've
I think
got
it's good
people like,
exposure.
you've got people like Salt Pappy
Yeah.
and Dean the Great that are genuinely good boxers, and I don't think before Misfits or before any of this influence in boxing that they would have even give it a second thought that
No.
boxing was for them.
No.
I mean, you've even got, I don't know if you saw the recent one where JMX.
I saw he
Oh,
was
yes.
fighting on
He-
Saturday night.
He
He done
looked a
well.
genuine good boxer, and before that, and before any of this influence in boxing, he was just a FIFA YouTube open
Ah,
packs,
exactly.
Yeah.
just like
Did a bit strip FIFA and that back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. Well, he's been a bit controversial, hasn't he?
Yes.
But I don't even think before that. I don't think you'd have give it a second thought.
No,
I mean, you've
probably
even got. I don't know if you know TGF.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
got
yeah.
Jay Swingler,
Oh,
and he
he's
looks a
decent, yeah,
genuine
he's
good. He's now headlining Misfits events. I think he's already headlined one, but I think he's headlining another soon. So,
Mm.
I mean, it's good to see. I think it's. I understand the frustration, and I understand it from like the professionals, especially when you see the likes of like tag team coming in. I think
Yeah.
that's a step far, but I think overall it's not hurting anyone other than the people who are actually getting involved and stepping in the ring.
And I don't know if you've seen this as well. I know, obviously, we're talking about boxing and that. What the Saudis were trying to do, I don't know if any of you've seen it.
The Saudis try to do lots of things.
Yeah, true.
Including your club.
It was basically to do a boxing tournament sort of style.
No, I've never seen.
We're
So
gonna get another golf situation.
That caused hell on, didn't it?
possibly. But what they were looking at doing was getting Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder. Okay, and what they would do is on one night have obviously your undercards and
Yeah.
stuff, and then you would have your two semi-finals, which would be Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
And then whoever would win that would then meet each other in the final. And it would be for all the titles. And they thought it would be a great way to do the Undisputed. I was listening to it on, I think it was Talk Sport, I heard it on. And they were mentioning it. Now, the problem is, it wouldn't be sanctioned by the British
Yeah.
or the
Boxing
world
committee.
boxing organisation.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to put most of the titles on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
feasibly that sounds like a bit of a nightmare to try and
It does sound
sort out. But
Mm.
obviously, from a spectator's point of view, it sounds brilliant. Like
And
you'd
if you-
love to watch all
and
the
to be
top
honest,
boxers fight.
I would pay for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I mean, a lot of the big fights end up being in Saudi anyway these days, don't they? So
Yeah, well, you had
I think
Joshua
the last couple
Joshua
Joshua ones
Ruiz.
have been
Yeah.
over in Saudi.
yeah, they have, and it's not bad because when you think about it, if your fighter or someone you support is fighting in America, the time over here is ridiculous to
Yeah.
watch.
Oh yeah.
Like you're up till like 3 in the morning.
And
trying to
boxing's
watch
one of
this
those things that's always been where the money is, that's where the fights will be.
Yep.
Like whether
Oh,
it's
always,
America or
always.
Saudi Arabia, that's where it goes.
And it's
Yeah.
not a bad setup either. It's not a bad setup that they've got over there.
You've been to Saudi Arabia many times?
No, just what I've seen on the telly. But it doesn't look bad.
Hey, Ronaldo lives there. It couldn't be that bad.
Nah, can't it be that bad?
I reckon Ronaldo lives a bit nicer than the average Saudi man.
Just a little
Nah.
bit like.
Nah. Maybe.
There is lots of rich people in Saudi.
There is. I think that's all we've got time for, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
I
is.
think
Yeah.
it is. You've been listening to myself, Joe, and Finley on the Can We Talk Sport podcast. Please follow on Spotify and subscribe, like, and comment on the YouTube. And we'll see you next time.